Alright, I'm just gonna continue reading my fanfictions to make very pointed points, because my phone is still processing the video of me actually reading the book, and I don't want to do anything else at the moment because they don't have comfy furniture here. This is my laptop's microphone, so the audio quality is not the best. But no birds are screaming at the moment. Anyways, this story is the one I wrote in 2023, a year after the one above that will be posted before this, unless I decide to just combine them all. I don't know. I might do that. It's just a random Farscape crossover, for the hell of it, to make some fucking points. You don't have to have watched Farscape. You can just roll with it. Because unlike the actual books, this is fanfiction for free. You don't have to pay any money to watch this, or read this, or listen to it. Unlike the books. I'm not making you pay for this. I'm not telling you this is original fiction. This is fanfiction. The assumption is that you go in knowing who everybody is. And if you don't, well, that's the choice you're making. So if you don't want to read a very short Farscape and Murderbot Diaries crossover because you have no idea what Farscape is, or maybe you have no idea what the Murderbot Diaries is and you're just here because Farscape is in the title, well, that's a choice you're making for yourself. And I'm not making you pay $20 fucking for it plus shipping and then promising you that things will be different in the next book. Anyways, let's go. It literally has no title. It's just called Murderbot Farscape crossover on fanfiction.net because it's fanfiction. I don't have to think of a title if I don't want to, because I'm not making you pay money for this. Scrolling by accident. Where'd it go? I just put it in the same document as the other one. Why are you doing that, computer? Oh, I didn't put it in my, hold on, I gotta put it in my proper paragraph, my custom paragraph style. Stealing people's stuff isn't generally the best way to go about generating goodwill. Startled, Murderbot jerked its head towards the door, the sudden movement causing it to drop the roll of bandages it had been tying. I jinxed it, the birds are gonna scream now. You can say hi to them. They can't say, well, they're saying hi to you. You can't say hi back. Is it screaming time? Is that a yes? Startled, Murderbot jerked its head towards the door, the sudden movement causing it to drop the roll of bandaging it had been trying to maneuver with only the use of one hand. The bandages bounced off its shoe and rolled to an awkward stop in the middle of the floor, the tail end still pinned under Murderbot's hand. Neither Moya nor Pilot were willing to let it hack any of the DRDs, or Moya's sensors, so Murderbot had only its own eyes and ears to keep track of its environment. Try as it might, it hadn't been able to figure out how to access any of Moya's systems, even superficially. The door to its room was stuck in the open position, and no matter how many strings of code it threw at it, it didn't budge. The technology that made up Moya was as alien to Murderbot as, well, all of the other aliens on this ship. Crichton, one of the two humans aboard the alien ship, was standing in the hallway, leaning against the rounded edge of the door with a casual ease that did not actually help Murderbot's startled anxiety back down. What? It asked. It wasn't that it hadn't heard what X had said, it just couldn't think of any appropriate response. Crichton gestured to the roll of cloth now on the floor next to Murderbot's feet, the tail end still clutched in his numb fingers. See, there's a little continuity error there, because the first time I said it was stuck under its hand, now I'm saying it's holding it in its fingers. That's a continuity error. That's fine for here, because this is fan fiction that's 2 years old, and I'm not making you pay money for it. That used to be my shirt. You got it from my room. Next time, ask me first. There wasn't really any response Murderbot could think of to that, so it didn't say anything, just sat there on the side of the bed, staring. The human's gaze visibly fell to Murderbot's wrist, the one that Murderbot had been trying all in vain to bandage. The seam was bleeding again, and so were the surrounding tissues. Neon purple and blue blood was beating up on the surface of its skin as the mechanical parts on the inside ground together in the wrong way. Its pain dampeners were working at the moment, but that could stop at any moment, and it had wanted to get the wound bandaged before it would be in too much pain to even think about it. Unfortunately, even though it wasn't actually able to feel the pain, that didn't mean it wasn't there. Trying to do something as simple as hold the end of the bandage roll was almost impossible. Its fingers didn't want to move, and when they did, they were either sluggish and heavy or twitching uncontrollably. It had taken 10 solid minutes to try to get the roll of bandages positioned so that it could try wrapping them around its wrist with its other hand, and all that had been ruined when the human startled it. It sighed aloud, unable to keep it internal only. That doesn't look good. You need any help with that? Crichton's voice had changed tones, gentler now than it had been before. This time Murderbot managed to keep its sigh internal. Yes, it needed help bandaging its wrist. No, it did not want the help, especially not from a human it didn't know. But it couldn't afford to lose any more blood than it already had. Moya was alien technology. Even if she wanted to, she wouldn't be able to help it generate the nutrients it needed to keep itself functioning. You can help if you promise not to touch me, Murderbot said, agonizingly aware that its pain dampeners could switch off again at any second. I just need to bandage this to stop the bleeding. It wasn't going to apologize for taking the bandages. It tried to lift its injured arm off the hard surface of the table for emphasis, but couldn't actually manage to make it do anything except tingle warningly with pins and needles. Crichton was moving forward briskly, as though X had been waiting for just such an invitation, stooping to scoop the roll of bandages off the floor with an ease that Murderbot envied. What do you need me to do? Crichton asked, winding the bandages back around the roll. Murderbot tried to lift its injured arm again experimentally, but got the same result. It felt like its whole arm below the elbow had been physically disconnected. It ended up having to use its other arm to awkwardly drag its hand closer to the edge so that it would be able to wrap the bandages around its wrist without the table getting in the way. Its wrist hung limply in the grasp of gravity like something dead. That was not doing anything to make Murderbot feel any better about the situation. I'll put the bandages on, you just... It felt like its brain was being fried. Its performance reliability was taking a nosedive. Hold it for me. If it didn't get this over with soon, it was probably going to crash. And crashing in front of a strange human was the last thing on its things I want to do at any point in my life list. With another pair of hands to hold the roll of bandages and guide them while it worked with its free hand, the process didn't take long at all. When the bandages were on as tightly as Murderbot could get them, already soaking up the mixtures of blood, Crichton used the small utility knife Murderbot had also stolen from X's room to cut off the end, letting Murderbot pull it away to tuck under the edges. My name's John, by the way, since we haven't been properly introduced, Crichton said, once they were done with the first aid. My pronouns are Z, Zir, Zirself. I'm a human, the only one you'll find in this part of the galaxy. I breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. I've got a friend in here, Z taps Zir head, named Harvey. His pronouns are he, him, his, himself. The rest of the details will come up when they're important. What about you? Murderbot stared, bewildered by almost all parts of the statement, and the best response it could come up with was, I thought your name was Crichton. Crichton. John? Smiled. It is. Crichton is my family name. Both work fine, but I do prefer being called John. So, what should I call you? No one really got a chance to ask earlier what with the whole hostage situation. Thanks for saving our butts, by the way. Murderbot wanted to think fast, but its impending systems shutdown prevented that. My pronouns are itself. My name is private, but this hurts too much to think of a good alias right now. Its pain dampeners were starting to fail, one section at a time. The suspense was almost worse than if they'd just failed all at once. Fair enough. Is there anything we can do to ease the pain? Any chemicals you could use as medicine? If we don't have it, we might be able to synthesize it if you're lucky. Are you hungry? I can't say we've got good food, but it's at least, halfway edible. We hope. This was one of the many shitty things about being a construct. No one had ever given enough shits about what they felt to care about making painkillers that would work on them. No. No, there's no pain medicines we could scrounge up, or no, you're not hungry. Murderbot no longer had enough energy to uphold an entire end of a conversation. No. Alright. John didn't seem angry at its curt reply. I can take a hint. I'll leave you be. Is there anything I can do to help before I go, though? I mean, you did get thrown through a wall for me. Yes, that's why Murderbot's wrist was currently trying to murder it. Being thrown through a wall, it turns out, was not a good idea if you had an unhealed injury that liked to burst into pain whenever it wanted. But the expression on John Crichton's face was so sincere it was doing weird things to Murderbot's insides, and not just because it was about to collapse. Why did so many humans have to care about it? This one was a complete stranger. Yes, Murderbot had shoved Zir out of the way of the crashing spaceship and had taken the hit itself, but that didn't mean Z needed to look at it like that. They weren't friends just because Murderbot had saved Zir's life. But there was one thing Z could help with. Murderbot summoned up its remaining strength to ask, "How do I shut the door?" John looked over at the doorway, then back at Murderbot, then stood and strode over, pressing Zir's hand against a raised spot on the wall that Murderbot hadn't noticed. "You just have to press this, or ask Pilot or Moya if it doesn't work. There's one on the outside, too. The lock on this door is disconnected right now because it was designed to lock from the outside, but if you want to stick around, we can get it to lock from the inside." Z pressed Zir's hand against the button, and 2 sections of wall slid across to close the door. Another little error. I put slide instead of slid. Again, but this is fanfiction. You're not paying for this shit. Z pressed it again, and the section slid back into the wall again. Z turned to smile at Murderbot. "See? Easy peasy lemon squeezy." It turned out Murderbot had enough energy to roll its eyes. John stepped out into the corridor and reached out to the wall on that side. The door began to shut again. Right before it closed completely, John called, "Good night, sunshine." Murderbot had no idea how to respond to that, so instead of trying to think of one, it let gravity take control and fell back against the bed. It was soft and warm and a perfect contrast to the slightest chill in the air, like it was made specifically to be comfortable. It was part of the alien ship. Part of Moya. Probably an organic part of Moya. That was creepy. Murderbot should probably be worried about that. But it would rather shut itself down now, voluntarily, before it had an involuntary shutdown or its pain dampener stopped working, so it sighed out another breath and embraced the oblivion of a voluntary shutdown. So you can just do your own media analysis on this short story, this short crossover, whether or not you know anything about Farscape, and you can examine it. I'll tell you what I wrote it intending to be, and then you can examine it for yourself and see if what I wrote conveys that message successfully. I wrote this because I'm sick and tired of Martha Wells telling people, if you don't want to be spied on at all times, then you're being mean to the poor autistic robot. Don't yell at companies to stop spying on you and mining your data and selling your data, your literal personal conversations, because that's being mean to the poor autistic robot. Because that's how she keeps framing this shit in the Murderbot Diaries. Book 1, we seem to be establishing that Murderbot spying on everybody is bad, and that Murderbot doesn't want to do it either, but it's forced to. We seem to be expected to agree that yes, this is bad, it shouldn't be happening, Murderbot shouldn't have to do this, and the other victims of it shouldn't be subject to it either. So the first book, it's fine. But then the entire rest of the series comes out, and we just do a fucking turnaround where suddenly, actually, if you have a problem with Murderbot spying on every single fucking person around it, including spying on your private conversations, inside your house, inside your bedroom with your door locked, if you have a problem with that, that actually means that you are bigoted towards robots, and you're a bad person, and you're making Murderbot sad and anxious. Martha Wells is just doing fucking corporate propaganda and saying that having a problem with fucking a literal surveillance state is mean to robots, so you shouldn't actually want privacy, because enforcing your right to privacy, that makes Murderbot sad and anxious. Because literally, I'm not joking, she literally is framing it this way. we get told that the security people of preservation, they don't want Murderbot to go around hacking every goddamn thing and spying on people, and this is presented as them being violently oppressive and making Murderbot depressed and anxious. Even though the first book established that Murderbot didn't enjoy this shit any more than anybody else did, and wished it could stop. As I said, the Flanderization is extremely intense with this series, and it's in canon. It's not fanfiction Flanderization, it's just happening in the actual show. Is that your sign that you want more food, puppy? Hold on. You want more food? Are you gonna actually eat it? You want some dinner? Good girl. I presume you cannot hear me from over here well, so I'll just wait until I fed this dog. You can eat it and then you can come out when you're done. You guys are silly. Here's your food. Eat your food. Good girl. Okay, anyways, yeah, the rest of the book series, especially books 6 and 5, the plots of them both run together because it's bad writing, and there's nothing distinct about any of these things. No, let me get Mr. Bandit his food. You want your food? Are you hungry? You want your food? I love that little face. There you go. Punch him. Oh. Good job. Tripping me. Thanks a lot. Here you go, Robin. Here you go. Well, I'm gonna have bruised knees tomorrow because these people can't be bothered to have actual dog crates for their dogs to get fed in, even though their dogs are food aggressive because they traumatized them when they were puppies. Anyways, yeah, the entire rest of this series is unironically trying to frame wanting a right to privacy as being the real authoritarian who's oppressing poor, innocent, autistic, anxious robots. So I wrote this thing just, to say, hey, what if Murderbot was put in a fucking position where it literally cannot spy on anybody because the technology is completely incompatible? If Murderbot were put in Moya, it would have to actually learn to respect other people's privacy, because it can't hack Moya, because there's no frame of fucking reference. So it literally has to actually learn to respect other people. A thing that seemed to be getting set up in the first book that it wanted to do, because we get told it's forced to spy on everybody, and it's like, ugh, yeah, I would literally rather do anything else. That was fine, because that seemed to be, yes, Murderbot is being forced into this shit as a slave. It doesn't want to do this. People don't want this to be happening. Nobody's happy with this situation, except the company who's profiting off of it. That was fine. Then we get the entire rest of the series, which is saying, actually, no, Murderbot loves spying on people and violating people's privacy and literally recording conversations of people in the privacy of their own home in their own goddamn bedroom without their fucking consent. Literally recording every single fucking thing they say out loud and everything they do. And the series is literally framing Murderbot doing this as good and something you should be amused at, as though it's funny and cute, and maybe like mildly annoying, but in a cutesy way, like a kitten doing something like mildly cute but inconvenient, and that's it. And then anybody who has a problem with this like absurd violation of privacy, because Murderbot is literally recording people who are having private conversations inside their homes, inside their fucking bedrooms. It's recording them. It's not even just listening, and that would be bad enough. It's recording them. And the series says anybody who has a problem with this and thinks that this is an outrageous fucking violation of privacy, well, they're just bigoted against poor robots who aren't doing anything wrong. And you have to let Murderbot do this or it'll be anxious. Even though literally the first book, it wanted to do anything else. So, yeah, this was written, main goal being, okay, A, first of all, Farscape should have had more conversations about what to do for, like, should have just had more basic conversations after the whole, slicker and snot conversation. That makes sense to Farscape fans. I know Murderbot fans, you don't know what I'm talking about. Farscape fans do. The whole thing. That whole thing. We need more conversations after that thing goes on, where John just like, okay, alright, we're doing this every time we meet a new species. I don't know anybody's physiology. I'm not a doctor. I'm certainly not an alien doctor. I need to get basic shit established, because what if I get stuck in a fucking tiny little escape pod with somebody? Are the things we breathe out going to poison us both even quicker than it would be normally? Or, like, what if somebody just so happens to be compatible? What if we have the opportunity to maybe choose who goes in what escape pod? We should be trying to set up people who can maybe recirculate things, if at all possible, which might not be possible, but what if it is? John Crichton is the kind of character who would think of these things, so it's annoying that he didn't, because the writers just kind of forgot about all of that. Also, people get really pissed off if you just try to say basic things like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if John Crichton used neopronouns? Let me let the doggy out. You guys ate that instantly. Good girl. Good girl. Good puppy. People get really, really pissed off if you say, hey, it would be cool if John Crichton were non-binary. It would be cool if John Crichton used neopronouns. Like, for Farscape fans, you can imagine it. I have a post about it in the chat style, but I can't remember the exact thing. So somebody tries to misgender John, and Z's just like, zip, 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 nope, I can't hear you. I said my pronouns are Z. I promise this is in character, and people who've watched Farscape know it as well. So the basic premise here is Murderbot should not be allowed to continue spying on everybody, and for it to learn this lesson, it needs to be fully and entirely prevented from doing that. So how do we do that? We put it in an environment where there is no technology that it can hack. And also, at some hypothetical point in the future, because I'm not writing a sequel or chapter 2 or anything, in hypothetical future, Moya, Pilot, and Murderbot have a goddamn conversation about privacy, why it's important, why there's a goddamn difference between Moya being able to know what's going on inside her fucking body, and how there's a difference between Murderbot wanting to know this shit for literally no reason except to spy on people, which is not even thematically fucking consistent with what it was doing in the first book. As I said, this book series is badly written just to uphold the status quo and just to uphold bigotry, even when it actively doesn't make sense. The first book, Murderbot actively does not want to be doing this shit because it's tired of seeing shit it doesn't want to see or hear. But, you know, Martha Wells doesn't give a single flying fuck about continuity if she can just shit out books where she frames thinking that surveillance states are bad, thinking that being spied on is bad. Well, you're a bigot towards robots, and that's the end of the fucking discussion. Anyways, bye-bye. Unless I'm just gonna include another one here.